Yes, I love Christmas, but that is not why these lights are here. You heard me speak with the children this morning about the light of Christ and how light can point us to Him. And I'm going to focus on that today because in many ways that's what the Transfiguration is all about and why it occurred. So in Luke 9:35, this is what happened. A voice came from the cloud saying, "This is my Son whom I have chosen, listen to him." So there's this witness, not just of Jesus in His glory, but God the Father acknowledging His Son to Peter, James, and John. Now, that is not the first time that occurred. Some of you may already be remembering the first time that occurred. In Matthew chapter 3, verses 16 and 17. As soon as Jesus was baptized, He went up out of the water. And at that moment heaven was opened, and He saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and lighting on Him. And a voice from heaven said, "This is my Son, whom I love. With Him I am well pleased." And so not only do we have the Transfiguration and God the Father speaking, and there's the glory of God and of Jesus on the mountain, here at His baptism, right at the beginning of His ministry, God the Father saying, "This is my Son." This beautiful and powerful statement saying, He's not just an ordinary man. He's not just a good teacher. This is my Son. And I believe the reason there was this transfiguration, number one, obviously Moses and Elijah were there, and they were encouraging Jesus as He was preparing to go to Jerusalem and face His death there. But it was also for the apostles there as a witness to them to strengthen them for their future ministry after Jesus leaves. So they see the light of Christ there on the mountain. And Jesus said He was the light in John chapter 8, verse 12. When Jesus spoke again to the people, He said, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows Me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of light." Now, we know that other scriptures talk about how people are walking in darkness. And there's many different forms of darkness. Obviously, the darkness of sin, and people who are walking in sin and experiencing the guilt of that, plus all of the consequences of that sin. But people are walking in darkness in other ways as well. The darkness of depression, of loneliness, of fear, of anxiety. So many different ways that people walk in darkness. And it's truly amazing how we come to church and we smile but there's this something inside that is not full of light, because we have this place that we just can't let anybody know about. And it's not just us, it's not just Christians, but obviously all the people out in the world who don't know Christ and the darkness they're walking in. But how can they see the light? How can they experience the light of Christ? And then how can we experience it as well? Because Jesus isn't present with us physically for us to see His glory. Well, He gave us the instruction on how to do that. So let me turn to Matthew chapter 5 real quick. All right, here it is. Matthew 5. It's right in the middle of the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus said this, "You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. So here we have Jesus saying to us, you are the light of the world. But wait a minute, didn't I just say that he said he was the light of the world? So if he's the light of the world, how are we the light of the world? Well, it's because his light, when we accept him and follow him, his light is in us. And then notice at the end of the passage it says, so that they will see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. So when we have the light of Christ, we share that light with everyone around us. And how do we do that? We do that by loving them in concrete and visible ways. Those are the good deeds I'm talking about. Sometimes just a smile and a kind word can change a person's life that day. Sometimes it takes a little bit more. But you and I, we are the light of Christ, and his light shining in us is available to others. Sometimes it needs to be available within the body from one person to another. When one person in the body is experiencing something of a darkness in their life, someone else whose light is shining a little brighter can be that light for them. And I see that happening here quite a bit. I just want to encourage you to realize that you are the light of Christ. And that people need to see that light within you in lots of different ways. So, as I set them up, I got to use them, right? So, as you see light, and studies have shown that when there's additional light in a house, people have a brighter outlook on life. Well, there's a reason for that, because Jesus is the light of the world. He is the light. So when we see lights like this, yes, just by their brightness, it can encourage us and strengthen us. But I'd like you to remember the light of Christ and focus on his light. When you see any kind of light, really, let it remind you that you are also the light of Christ, and to share that with others. All right? Let us pray.